One thing is very important when training back, and this applies to every single back exercise. Your hands are only hooks. Which is going to keep the emphasis on my lower lats. Now, even if I rotate my body back a bit, I'm still straight. I'm not leaning all the way back. So what's going to happen is my lower lats are always going to be engaged through the entire movement, which is the area we want to hit. What's up, guys? This is part of my new video series. I'm going to be coming on and talking about different facets of bodybuilding and things that people are doing wrong and how we can fix them to make sure you guys are getting ahead and getting better as we go along. So I think the definition of training to failure needs to be explained. And when you're hurt, when you're hurting, when your legs hurt and you feel like you're done, that's not failure. That's a little bit of pain in your quads when you're training. That's a good feeling. That's not failure. Failure is 10 reps past that. So if I see you do 8 plates and you look like you crushed it, and I know you have another 5 reps in you at least, that's not failure. You stopped at 8 reps because you think that's good enough, or it hurts, or I don't think I have any more of me. But I can see by the amount of force you finished the 8th rep with that you definitely have more. Now, not every set has to be to failure. Your sets are going to be set up in a way that you have some working warm-ups, which is what I call them working warm-ups. So if I'm doing a leg press, I might start with 4 plates or 6 plates. Those are just to get my muscle used to the movement. That's a working warm-up. Then you're going to move into a working set. So if my max on a leg press, I know I top out at like 12 plates or 14 plates for 15 or 20, that's my ultimate failure. Then my working sets are going to be somewhere around 8 to 10 plates. Those are working sets. Those aren't failure sets. When I get to 12 plates and I barely get to 15 to 20, if my goal in my mind is 15 reps or 20 reps, if I barely get there, I'm dying to get there, I get to 14 reps and I can barely get the 15th rep, that's failure. Not, I reach failure, I'm in pain, I think I should stop. Failure means you can't get another rep. So the reason I'm harping on this is this series is I'm gonna try and explain to you guys where we're going wrong. Everybody wants to point to drugs. Well, maybe my drugs are set up wrong. Maybe my food is set up wrong. Nobody ever says, maybe my training sucks. Maybe I'm not pushing myself hard enough in the gym. Your diet can be perfect. You can take the best supplements, you can have the best stack. If your training sucks, it's not gonna matter. People always ask me, is nutrition more important or is food more important? What's more important? Is training the most important? What's the most important part of bodybuilding? It's a puzzle. It's not one is more important than the other. Bodybuilding is a puzzle. Everything has to fit together perfectly. Some pieces may be bigger than others, but without that piece, you can't complete the puzzle. So if you got the piece for nutrition, you got the piece for supplements, you get the piece for everything all set up, but your training piece sucks, it's not fitting, your puzzle's not going to be complete. So this is what I'm trying to express to you guys. Make sure when you're training, when you're talking about failure, when you're talking about working sets, when you're talking about working warm-ups, you know what these things are. Okay? You don't want to train to failure for every set. 1 or 2 sets per exercise should be to failure, in my opinion. But that means real failure. That means I cannot do another rep. So take that little piece of advice, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm going to do a few more of these videos and see how they go, see how you guys like them. And we're just going to start to touch on individual specific topics that you guys may be able to fix in your own programs and reevaluate and think, yeah, you know what, maybe I'm not going to failure, maybe I'm not pushing myself hard enough. Remember, it's training smart, but it's also training hard. It's not about necessarily doing more sets. It's about getting the most out of the sets you're doing. So if you have, I'm not saying do more sets. So if you have 5 sets or 4 sets listed for leg press, get the most out of them. Set number 1, working warm up. Set number 2, working set. Set number 3, working set times a little bit. Set number 4, ultimate failure. That's it, 4 sets. Don't go in the gym and think my 4 sets didn't do enough, I gotta do 8. You don't necessarily have to do 8. You'd have to get more out of the sets you're doing. So failure is ultimate failure, guys.
Okay, so we got everything kind of warmed up, got the shoulders warmed up, got a little bit of a pump in the lat area, teres. So I want to go to a pull down, but I don't want to do traditional pull downs because I feel like traditional pull downs hit me too much in the upper back, and that's because if you notice, a lot of people lean back too much when they're doing lat pull downs, and usually ends up hitting their upper back and not the lower lat area, which is what we really want to hit. So what I've done is kind of created this little contraption where I put a bench here, and we're going to do a reverse incline. And what this is going to do is, see, as I'm pulling this way, what it's going to do is it's going to keep me leaning forward, which is going to keep the emphasis on my lower lats. Now, even if I rotate my body back a bit, I'm still straight. I'm not leaning all the way back. So what's going to happen is my lower lats are always going to be engaged through the entire movement, which is the area we want to hit. Thing you guys are going to notice if you try this, you're no longer going to have the rhomboid and traps assisting and your teres and your rear delt. A lot of that's going to be eliminated by the reverse incline, so it's going to be all lat. So if you're normally used to doing the stack because you're leaning back and you're rowing the weight, you're not going to be able to do that with this. So it's humbling, but my lats are blowing up right now, so it definitely works. Okay, one thing is very important when training back, and this applies to every single back exercise. Your hands are only hooks. When you're training back, I want you to imagine that this point on your back of your arm or your elbow is the point that's pulling. Whether you're pulling down, whether you're rowing with a bar, whether you're pulling a dumbbell, it doesn't matter. You're not pulling with your hand because you're gonna get a lot of forearm and bicep that way. Pull with your elbows. Imagine these are just hooks and you're pulling with the elbow. That'll activate your back a lot more.